Am I the a-hole for telling my ex-wife I don't care if she and her family starve, that I am just responsible for our sons? I have 2 sons, ages 16 and 14 with my ex-wife. Our marriage reached a better end when I learned she had remained married to me for over 3 years, so I would support her through returning to school, so she could switch careers to an even better paying one, despite her old one paying as much as mine. For years, I tried like hell to save our marriage because I felt it fracture. She played along until she got what she wanted, and then she was honest that she had never wanted to save our marriage and had been over me for years. When we divorced, custody was set to 50-50 for our boys, and she was ordered to pay child support to me because she was making so much more after a change of career and education. She remarried a year after our divorce and had more children. After the birth of her last child 4 years ago, things got bad. Her husband was diagnosed with cancer. Then one of her kids got diagnosed with a long-term medical condition, then COVID impacted her job. Our boys would tell me how rough things were at their moms and how they wanted to live more with me. So I went to court and the judge moved her down to every other weekend and changed the child support order to reflect her decrease in custody. Recently, she had moved into a smaller house because of how badly they were struggling. And then she came to me for help after the courts refused to end the child support payments. She told me I needed to help her and that I should be helping to take care of my boy's family. And that's what she and her family are. I told her she used me for 3 freaking years so she could survive off my money. She did not get to ask for more to support a family that is not my own. She called me a selfish a-hole, told me her family's living off charity and they could be so much better off if I would help them. I asked her why I was supposed to care, and she told me she wished she had cheated while we were together and that using me for money wasn't enough. Again, she told me about her family and how they would starve. I told her I didn't care if they did or not, that none of them are my problem, and I only care about my kids. She called me an a-hole. Her husband sent me a text that night saying I was a cruel a-hole, and he hoped the boys would hate me when they realize I want their whole family to suffer. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole, but make sure you have a high-level conversation with your boys so that they're prepared for your ex and her husband to try to paint you as the root of all evil when they go over there. In addition to this, keep all communications written so that they can be presented in court if necessary. Good luck to you and your kids. Yes, adding to this, to keep his side civil, as in set firm boundaries but leave out cussing and insults. Probably will look better in court that way. Not the a-hole. Is she actually destitute? It doesn't sound like she is. She moved into a smaller house. That is still a house. It's not a shelter, not even an apartment. Are they on food stamps? I'm getting the sense she's having a hard time adjusting to a life on a more modest income, but not that she's totally broke. You also know she has a history of manipulating money out of you. I'd leave this up to courts. If she was really broke, wouldn't the court lower her child support payments? They would never end it, but they did adjust it some. But what she wanted was them to end for at least 6 months. Interesting. Why wouldn't they end it? Even if she was making less than you, currently is her and her husband's combined income lower than yours? Because I have primary custody now. So the new husband said he hoped the boys hated you for not helping out. Yet those same boys wanted to live more with you as they are actually not happy with that family of theirs. Somehow, I don't think you have to worry about that being prophecy. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not paying for something my daughter broke? My ex and I have shared custody of our 15-year-old daughter. She has 2 more kids, 13 female and 8 male from her current marriage. My daughter is spending this week with her mom, and 2 nights ago, she called me crying and said her siblings broke her Xbox. I asked to talk to her mom and told her she needs to buy a new Xbox for her. She refused and told me she thinks this is a good consequence for her, as she would play in front of them all day and wouldn't let her siblings touch the Xbox, which is why they took it without permission and accidentally broke it. Last night, I got another call from her telling me my daughter broke his kid's new laptop on purpose. I asked my daughter what happened, and she calmly told me her siblings didn't let her touch the laptop and she accidentally broke it. I told my ex that this seems right to me. When something gets accidentally broken, no one needs to pay for it, right? We decided on this last night. She blew up at me and called me an a-hole and said I know very well that this was no accident. I told her I wish I could pay for the laptop, but unfortunately I have a new Xbox to buy, and hung up the phone. She sent me more messages calling me an a-hole and so many other nice words. and said the laptop was a lot more expensive than the Xbox. Wow, everyone sucks here. Your ex certainly had it coming to her for her attitude. She taught your daughter a really vicious, nasty lesson which you are reinforcing by letting her get away with. Money aside, all the kids need consequences, though you only have a say with your own kid. That said, I believe you are right that you and she each replaced the electronics equitably, which seems proportionate to the shared kid count. I'd be inclined to replace the Xbox in your own timing, depending on how you are holding your daughter accountable, and then keep it at your home, where she can't play in front of the younger kids. I want the Xbox to be replaced immediately as she has been saving for it for years and bought it with her own money, and she only got to use it for a few weeks. If my ex agrees to replace it for her immediately, then we can make a plan to replace the laptop together as she is not just my child. Not the a-hole. Malicious compliance at its best. You literally didn't do anything. You didn't tell your daughter to break their laptop. Your ex established how to handle the situation when she refused to hold her other kids responsible for what they did. The Xbox wasn't an accident either, because they took it without permission. This gets my vote, not the a-hole. Y'all missing the fact that the kids took the Xbox without permission. It was no accident. And in fact, Opie's daughter foreseeing that her half-siblings would likely break her Xbox may have been the reason she wouldn't share to begin with. Not the a-hole. Your daughter worked and bought her Xbox with her own money. She, and only she, decides who gets to use it. She said no. It is up to your ex-wife to teach her kids not to touch people's stuff. And when they said no, it's a complete sentence and needs to be respected. Your ex is a hypocrite. She won't replace what her kids broke but wants you to replace what your daughter broke. Since it's a consequence for your daughter, then I guess it's a consequence for her kids as well. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to tell my husband the gender of our baby after he skipped going to the doctor's appointment with me? Plus mini update. My husband and I are expecting. This is our first baby and we're excited. Thing is, he barely attends any doctor appointments with me and his excuses aren't even valid. He's willing to miss the doctor's appointment over soccer or a drink or board game with friends. His response is always, I'm not the one carrying the baby. Why do I have to go see the doctor with you? Last week was my final straw. He was supposed to come with me for the baby's gender reveal appointment, but he chose to not come last minute because his friend invited him to fish and chips meal. I was pretty livid, but didn't make a fuss about it and Mom went with me instead. He texted asking me to tell him the results, boy or girl, but I refused to tell him. He kept spam calling me, but I hung up each time. He came home fuming, demanding I tell him the results, but I refused and bluntly told him since he refused to attend the appointment, then he gets the results till after the baby's born, and said I was willing to die on this hill. He went off calling me spiteful and immature for doing this and punishing him. He said he's the father and has the right to know. He then called me dramatic since I wasn't alone and Mom was with me. I said he gets no results, period. He's been fuming about it and told his family and they're now pressuring me to stop playing mind games with him and tell him, but I declined. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments before the mini update. Not the a-hole. Already a dad beats dad before the baby's even born. I would drop a friend if I found out they prioritized fish and chips over their wife and baby's doctor appointment. Birds of feathers flock together. His whole friend circle sucks. If he's telling you, I'm not carrying the baby, why do I have to go to the doctor with you? That's going to turn into, I didn't push out that baby, why should I look after it? Real quick. Not the a-hole. Yup. This is going to be the dad that complains he has to babysit while his wife goes to the store to buy him food. Not the a-hole. My ex pulled this with our second child, and I caved and told him. I shouldn't have. You need to seriously reconsider this relationship. He's showing you that he and his friends are more important than you and the baby. He sees going to appointments with you as punishment, not as a chance to make sure you and the baby are healthy. Don't be like me and stay until he leaves you for another woman. I'm surprised no one's said this yet. My ex-husband was cheating on me during my entire pregnancy and treated me exactly like Opie's husband is treating her. We had a healthy, intimate life during the entire pregnancy, but he was cheating with someone from work. He knew I'd be occupied at a doctor's office and took advantage. His friends lied for him. He even tried to leave to go home and get some sleep the night our son was born. He changed into his nicest clothes, fixed his hair, and put on cologne in my room's hospital bathroom to go home and get some sleep. I called him out for assuming I was dumb enough to buy it. We weren't together long after that. I'm not saying this is what Opie's husband is doing, but it is worth looking into because he's engaging in abnormal behavior. I only mention this because the baby is a new mother's first concern and STIs can harm an unborn baby. I wish I could upvote you more. This is a real advice from a person who lived a similar situation to the OP. My ex said he couldn't get off work, even though he had several people tell him they'd cover for him. And he knew long enough in advance that he could have scheduled the time off, but later admitted he hadn't bothered. Then, because we only had one car, he had me pick him up on my way back home. All the things I explained away, believed him on, told myself it was normal and I was overreacting, shaking my head. Edit/update. I just wanted to mention that my husband just attempted to contact my doctor to get the results. It didn't go well, and we had another argument over it. He couldn't get it, since his mom was the one who made a call. Last story. Am I the a-hole for being upset that my family didn't get my kids Christmas presents? I married into a wealthy family. My family's lower middle class, so it was quite a change. I have 2 kids, 6 female and 4 male, that get more or less anything they want, but they aren't spoiled. Anyways, we decided to spend Christmas with my family. And the day before Christmas Day, since my dad worked on the actual day, my mom calls all the kids to the tree for presents and did her usual, "You guys were so good, and that's why Santa gave you all these things" speech. After that, all of them quickly found theirs, but my 2 kids kept searching and couldn't find anything. My son was on the verge of tears, and my daughter was quiet after the tree was cleared and they were left with nothing. I asked my mom what was going on, and my mom looked at me then at my kids and went, "Oops, I thought you knew." We all decided that we weren't buying them Christmas gifts. I asked her why, and she said that they get more than they need from me and my in-laws, and that they all collectively decided to spend more on those that need it. She looked at my son, who had tears running down his face, and said, "See, look at how spoiled he is. This is good for them." Then she walked away. I quietly went back to the guest room and packed our things. I then called my husband, who had offered to go grab my mom something from Walmart, and told him to leave the stuff and come pick us up. We then left quietly after I let my dad know. He was disappointed, but said he understood. We managed to cheer the kids up and visited my in-laws instead. A while later, I got a call from my mother. She kept asking me why I disappeared like that, and said that she was waiting for the stuff my husband was bringing from Walmart. I told her very politely that I didn't like what she did to my children, and that she or literally anyone else could have at least told me. My mom said I was acting very entitled for someone who goes on multiple vacations a year. She then brought up my son crying again. I got angry and told her that the reason he cried is because of her stupid speech about only good kids getting presents. My mom then randomly said that maybe he isn't a good kid if he cried like that over not getting toys. We argued back and forth over this, but then I ended up saying that she's very lucky I didn't snatch back the gifts I bought for my nieces/nephew. My mom just said the entitlement before hanging up. My sister texted me the same thing, and my other sister said that I'm playing the victim when the real victims are them and their kids. My mom sent a similar text as well. Am I the a-hole? Edit. Also, to clarify, 1. The presents my husband and I got our kids were at our in-laws since we were going there after a while anyways. 2. We told my in-laws what happened and they got some extra things to cheer them up. Getting their presents cheered my daughter up. It cheered my son up as well, but the speech my mom gave seems to be bothering him still. 3. I've been using Santa was done delivering presents, which again, seems to have mostly worked since they did eventually get things. But I will be doing what a few people suggested about Santa apologizing and reassuring my kids that they were never on the naughty list. Thanks. Your mom made a big show to all the kids about Santa bringing presents because they were so good, all while knowing some kids didn't have anything under the tree because she intentionally left them out, and she thinks it's good for them. Look, it might be one thing to maybe spend money differently on grandkids who have a lot versus grandkids who need a lot. But your mom was actively out to punish your kids, simply because they come from a wealthier background. That's just gross. Not the a-hole. Opie, your mom sounds like my mom, who once literally got me coal for Christmas. Years later, when I was in my 20s, she bought my brothers and I a toolkit. My older and younger brother got the 100-piece toolkit and I got the 50-piece toolkit. When I asked why I got a smaller one, she said, "Well, you're gay. You don't use tools." Then she said, "Plus, you've never asked us for money, so we figured you could buy it yourself if you really needed it." I've been no contact with her for about 3 years now, and they've been the most peaceful holidays I've ever had in my life.
Not the a-hole.
I'm so sorry for your kids.
Not the a-hole.
From your kids' perspective, Santa didn't get them anything because they weren't good. I think if your family told you beforehand they were getting gifts for everyone except your kids, you would have been able to get them something yourself, and the whole ordeal would have been much easier. That had to be in purpose, right? There's no way this didn't cross my mother's mind. And gosh, if I knew, let's just say the situation would be very different.
Not the a-hole.
Go no contact now. That's horrible. They sound jealous of you. But bringing the kids into their issues is awful. Try to minimize the damage with your kids as soon as you can. That's a lifelong type of trauma. My son is really affected by this and bursts into tears every time he thinks he's done something wrong. He's also constantly apologizing for everything and anything. It's heartbreaking, but my husband and I are dealing with it. As for going no contact, consider it done. Everyone on that side has been blocked minus my dad, but if he even tries to bother me, he's getting blocked too. This might be the time to tell them Santa isn't real. He's bursting into tears over an imaginary judgment of an imaginary man. Your mom sucks.
Am I the a-hole for refusing to let my ex have Father's Day with our kids so her husband can celebrate with them? Ex and I divorced 11 years ago. We have 2 teens ages 14 and 13. Kids live primarily with me, because when she left, it was to be with her current husband who lived in another town. I remained primary custodian because I wasn't the moving parent, she was, which was causing the upheaval. Anyway, they see the kids every other weekend, extended periods during summer, and for every other holiday. Ex and her husband have 3 kids together. Ex has always asked that we alternate Father's Day, since the kids have known him most of their lives and because they have siblings through him, it is important to celebrate the day as a family sometimes. I always said no, because they are my kids and I want to see them Father's Day. This year seems to be the year pissing them off most, because the kids are choosing to not spend extended period of the summer with them, and she thinks it's more important than ever for them to have that family time, for those memories to be made with their family. She and her husband have been texting me all morning with their annoyance at my decision, and I even had her family on my case about it. It's weighed me down enough, and I have been called an a-hole enough that I have to ask, am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. You're their father, and your ex thinks you're somehow the a-hole for wanting to spend Father's Day with your own children? 100% not an a-hole. Yeah, because her husband has been a good father figure in their lives, and he is the father of their siblings. I don't fully believe it, but the doubt is there because this has been a constant in my year for about 2 months now. Sounds like she's putting her husband before her kids. Rude. She already did that when she abandoned them for him 11 years ago. Not an a-hole. Hell, most paperwork nowadays already has it pre-printed that the kids will spend Father's Day with their father and Mother's Day with their mother. Remind them that Father's Day is not a family holiday. It's about celebrating their father. And since he's not their father, they won't be spending it with them. If this pisses her off, so be it. Her pissiness is not your problem. Came here to say exactly this. It's standard for obvious reasons. OP, Father's Day is your holiday. Mother's Day is hers. Full stop. Not the a-hole. Info. What do the kids want? If they're choosing not to spend the summer with mom and stepdad, I think we can guess what they want. Info. According to the custody agreement, where are they supposed to be this day? With me. Same as she gets Mother's Day regardless of whether it's her actual weekend or not. Info. Do your kids see their stepfather as a father that they want to celebrate Father's Day with? Have you asked if they want to spend a day with him? In general, I would say not the a-hole since you are their biological father, with the caveat that if your kids want to spend the day with him, that should be respected, especially as they are getting older. From your post, it kind of sounds like your ex and her husband want to play perfect family, and you are under no obligation to help them do so. However, your kids are at an age where their opinions/wants, as they apply to these things, should take priority regardless of your personal opinion, assuming no abuse/neglect/safety issues/etc., and that it isn't going to create issues with legal custody type stuff, Otherwise, they may start to resent you. They don't see him as a father figure at all. He technically is, in that he has been in their lives since they were very young, and he has been acting as a paternal figure to them while they are there. But the kids do not consider him their father figure, and that actually became a point of contention a couple of years ago, because they went to an event with them the weekend before Father's Day a couple of years ago, and they made me something and not him. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my adult daughter the truth about why I wasn't in her life? Recently, I got back in contact with my adult daughter, Maddie, after having had nothing to do with her since her birth. She's 25 now, but honestly, I wasn't around from her birth all the way through when her mother died a couple years ago. Now, I know I'm not a perfect person here. I've done some bad things, but in this case, I don't think I was the bad guy. Maddie's mother and I dated for about a year after I graduated high school in '95, while I was just in college. I'll be honest, her mother was a rebound girl. Never thought it would be a long-term relationship or anything. We became close and did couple things, but I always made certain to use protection. Didn't want kids at that stage in my life, and thought I'd made it clear to Maddie's mother. After coming back from family vacation one summer, I'm surprised to find that her apartment was empty, and she's dropped off the face of the earth. Poof, gone. Over the past years, I often wondered what happened, but any attempts at searching for Maddie's mother failed. A couple months ago, I got a visitor out of the blue, and after some awkward moments, Maddie introduced herself as my daughter. She wanted to know her dad, but at the same time, I felt this hostility there. She was angry, rightly so, at me for not being in her life, and I got the impression this was a, well, I can say I met the bastard type of thing. She told me how her mother had died a couple years prior, only after finally telling her my full name and to go looking for me. It had taken her that long to finally track me down. She wanted to know everything I'd been doing to that point, while I still found it hard to believe. Eventually, she asked why I had never been in her life, and I told her 2 reasons. 1, I didn't know you existed, and 2, your mom completely vanished on me. She didn't believe this, and scoffed, but telling her my own story what happened seemed to mesh up with some things her own mom had told her. This has created a problem. Maddie practically hates her mother for what she did. She accepts that I didn't even know she existed, and couldn't find her, so she can't fault me for that. However, she worshipped her mom, and now she's finding out that not only did her mom lie to her about the reason I wasn't around, but now she even questions about her own birth. Was it some stunt by her mother to force me to stay around? We talk from time to time, but her mom has gone from being respected to that lying witch, among other things. I genuinely feel bad about this, and wonder if I was the a-hole for telling the truth and destroying whatever memories Maddie had about her mother. So am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. She deserved the truth. But I don't know why she thinks her mom got pregnant to keep you around if she ghosted you like that without ever telling you. It sounds a lot more like mom wanted a baby and didn't really want dad in the picture. Or else got pregnant by accident and left because she didn't want to deal with co-parenting. Or maybe she thought she was respecting the OP not wanting kids yet, and thought she was doing him a favor taking off and not involving him in the baby's life. Info. It doesn't make sense that this was a stunt to get you to stick around, as she didn't tell you she was pregnant. Is there a reason that you both rejected the most obvious answer? Your ex took you at your word that you didn't want a kid, accidentally got pregnant, was unwilling to have a termination or give the baby up, and decided to move on so you wouldn't have to be involved? I think this is not great behavior, but it's hardly the act of a monster. More like a confused young woman who wants her baby without dragging you into fatherhood. I had more information in the first post of this, but it exceeded the 3,000 character limit, so I fully expected the info questions. To answer your question, I had made it clear when we started dating that I was hurting. I'd experienced a very bad breakup with my high school sweetheart, and though we talked about it, I specifically told her that I felt that I wasn't ready, being just 19, yes, I failed 8th grade, to have kids. She would sometimes joke that, well, she wanted a child, but respected my feelings on the matter. We'd taken a break around the time my family and I went on vacation, and during that time, I'd largely grown over the relationship. Sure, it was nice and all, but after some serious soul-searching, I'd realized that I didn't love her, and I just loved the things we did together, both physical and otherwise. Today, I suppose you'd call her an FWB, But at the time I didn't know that term, being rather innocent about many things. Also, I don't know if this is worth noting, but she was 35. So yeah, I was a young guy with an older woman, and was loving most every minute of it. The fact that she was 35 to you're 19 really should have been in your original post. Also, please do not take me wrong, but have you had a paternity test just to make sure? I have, and it's been confirmed. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for refusing to let my sister stay with me after how she's treated my girlfriend? My girlfriend, 30 female, is currently 4.5 months pregnant, and we're living together. My ex-wife, 32 female, and I, 30 male, just barely finalized our divorce. It was a pretty messy ending. She had an affair and we separated. Around that time, I spent more time with a close friend of mine, now my girlfriend, who I've known for years. Months later, I realized we had feelings and pursued a relationship. When I filed for divorce, my ex spun the story and flipped it on me. No one in my family believed her, except for my sister, 28 female. And that was due to them being best friends. Throughout the whole ordeal, my sister took my ex's side, wouldn't stop bothering me about working things out with my ex since she's given me a chance after what I did to her. She was even more vicious to my girlfriend for absolutely no reason. Attacking her on social media, calling her a homewrecker. Myself and my family had to talk to her many times and I cut contact for a while. Then when we found out she was pregnant, my sister's first reaction was, "Congrats on your affair, baby." She texted that to me from a different number, because I have her blocked, and knew it was her. A week ago, my mom told me my sister wanted to speak to me. She apologized for everything. Admitted she was completely immature, and coming from a place of anger towards me because she's been with my ex as a support, has been her shoulder to cry on, so she felt protective of her. During the same discussion, my sister mentioned needing some place to stay. So not only was she hoping we could make amends, but also wanted to know if it was possible to stay at our place. Suddenly her apology didn't seem too sincere to me, and I said no. Especially not with how she treated my girlfriend. My mom is urging me to do this because my sister needs some place to stay, and it could be a way for her and my girlfriend to get to know each other better. And that I can't blame my sister for her reaction when she was just believing my ex's lies. My sister is begging me to help her out, and promises she'll be courteous to my girlfriend. My girlfriend thinks if I trust my sister, then she'll go along with what I think is best. But honestly, I don't, and wouldn't want to put my girlfriend in that position. Since I've doubled down on my decision, everyone thinks I'm being too hard on her for believing someone else's lies, and now refusing to help her. I feel like suddenly I'm the only one sane here since everyone seems to be bothered by this, especially my sister who won't let it go. Am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. She should have believed her brother over some witch that cheated on you. Like you, I wouldn't put, if I was a guy, my pregnant girlfriend in that situation. Stress can be bad for a baby. That's my concern. Exactly. I tell her you're willing to start talking with her again, but not the moving in portion. If she doesn't accept that, then you do know she was only apologizing to get a place to stay. Info. And she can't stay with your mom because... My mom's a couple-hour drive away. Her job is here. But also, she wants us to make amends, so that's a big reason why she's pushing it. Not the a-hole. Tell your family that this rift between you and your sister didn't happen overnight, and it won't be repaired overnight. Someone posted about a public apology in social media. I think that is a great starting point. And it will take time and baby steps for her to prove herself to you and your girlfriend. I don't think that's fair to you or your girlfriend to ask you to have your sister move in, no matter how temporary it's supposed to be. This is your first baby, a new experience, and you and your girlfriend should be able to experience it in any way you see fit. Wait till her libido goes into overdrive. And you can't do that with your sister in your back pocket. Good luck, and congratulations. Didn't think about a public apology. Feel that's something necessary regardless of whether or not that's a start to her making amends for what she did to my girlfriend. Forgiveness will be up to my girlfriend since she was the one mostly out through the ringer. I agree though. This is a time for us to spend together and grow as a family without any house guests. Oh, believe me, I've noticed. And thank you. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my kid's stepmother she doesn't get to make rules for my home in front of my former in-laws? I share 2 sons, 11 male and 7 male, with my ex. He left me for his wife 3 years ago. They got married right after the divorce. I mention this because there are some tensions present due to this and also due to the fact my former in-laws and I got along so well and have not been welcoming towards X's new wife. So anyway, X and his wife put the boys in football and church thing on their time. X actually signed them up for all the time, but neither boy likes those activities. X says in his house they must do them. I say fine, but they won't do them with me. X's wife is the one with the biggest issue with my decision. She is very religious and believes boys should play sports and attend church. About a week ago, my oldest was picking up a certificate from one of his chosen extracurriculars, and me, X, and his wife were there while X's parents and sister were outside waiting to celebrate. X's wife starts telling the boys that they need to do the church thing that Saturday afternoon whether they like it or not, which was my parenting time, not X's, and that they need to sign up for some other stuff for football which also fell in my parenting time. When we go outside, without the boys, they were with X, I told her she did not get to make rules or demands in my home, and she better not do that again the way she did. X's family backs me up and says she's not their parent, etc. She gets super pissed at me for doing that around them, and then when my ex finds out, she tells me I'm an a-hole and should have waited and discussed it after. I told him I only care about the boys not hearing, and that he needs to nip the crap in the bud if he doesn't want stuff like that to happen again. She told me I made it even harder for their family to get along now and I should be ashamed. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. It's your home and something the kids don't even want to do. Like, I could understand if she was trying to get you to take them to a doctor's appointment or something, but just to some BS that only she gives a crap about? Nah, she can stuff it. Plus, she did it in front of the in-laws, so it should be dealt with in the same manner. She needs to butt the hell out of parenting those kids. She's not a parent and has zero rights in this matter. Not the a-hole. They obviously don't have any boundaries if they were okay with cheating and starting marriage over your misery. It's not surprising that she feels entitled to overstep your parenting as well. I'm just wondering, what kind of a religious person is okay with stealing another woman's husband, though? The kind who believes she saved him from the big bad atheist who is only going to damn him when he dies. And I know this because she has tried to interfere when X asked me to get the boys baptized, and I said no, because I don't consent to that stuff. She is very religious and believes boys should play sports and attend church. I don't care. She's not their mother. Football is dangerous, and I don't agree with religious training of children. I'd probably already be in court dealing with this. How dare she order your kids around, much less in front of you? Edited to add. Perpy, it is American football which was the sport I'm referencing. X's family backs me up and say she's not their parent, etc. They're correct. They have every right to not like a woman that targeted a married man, per your comments. First story is titled, Am I the a-hole for pressing charges when my stepson took something my daughter inherited from her mother? I'm male 47, been with my wife for 2 years. She has a 21-year-old son, and I have a 14-year-old daughter from my previous marriage. My late wife passed away in 2014, and she left a few things for our daughter, including a gold jewelry set. Her mom was devastated she didn't get to give the set to our daughter on her wedding day. So I keep it in my closet, since it's expensive, and my daughter is too young to have it, and I'll hopefully gift it to her on her wedding day. Last week, we were sitting in the kitchen when my stepson was hesitant to ask me something. We're in good terms, but have our fair share of arguments. He said his fiancée was taking something from his mother's and my closet, saw the jewelry set, and liked it very much. He asked if he could borrow it, so his fiancée can wear it at her cousin's wedding. I found this unacceptable, and I told him his fiancée had no business being in the bedroom, and that the jewelry isn't mine, it's for my daughter. He asked me if my daughter will agree to let him borrow it if he talked to her. I told him not to even talk about it again. He got all pissed and said things I do not remember. Saturday night, when he and his fiancée were at the wedding, I discovered that the jewelry set was gone. I told my wife and we looked all over the house. I called my stepson to tell him about calling the police because I really thought someone stole the set. He said there was no need, that he borrowed it and will return it after they get back from the wedding. I yelled at him and told him to come back with it right then. I kept calling him till 12 a.m. when he told me to stop calling and that he'd bring it in the morning. I couldn't sleep that night. I felt so terrible. In the morning, he showed up at 10 a.m. He didn't bring it and started stalling, saying he forgot and he'd bring it the next day. At this point, it was clear he gifted it to his fiancée and was stalling. I got so mad. I told him I will be pressing charges if he doesn't return the set today. We got into an argument, and my wife said his fiancée was the one who wanted the jewelry set. But he was the one who took it, and it's not even mine. It's my daughter's. Which made it worse because I'm responsible for whatever happens to it. His grandparents berated me after I told them this and got mad and defended him when I said that I will be pressing charges. He stole and needed to be responsible for his actions. He didn't respond to my final calls, so now I've given him one last chance, then it's over. I pressed charges today. They're saying calling the police was extreme and cruel. They're all convincing me to back down. Am I the a-hole for pressing charges? He was replying to me sarcastically when I said that I'd get the authorities involved, and he didn't take me seriously. His mom said she'd try to talk to him, but I had enough of him stalling, hoping I'll just let it go so he can make his fiancée happy. I feel like an irresponsible idiot. I can't even look at my daughter without feeling frustrated and infuriated. I'm hurt, but what's worse is that this is my daughter's property that I couldn't take care of. My wife allows them into the room, although I told her not to several times. They're not kids, and there should be some boundaries. I just needed to mention that they were in Europe. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole and don't back down. A 20-something step kid is stealing your daughter's heirloom. The family are all flying monkeys. Piggybacking to say that my mom died in 2015, and all I have left of her is her jewelry. It means the world to me. OP would be the A if he backs down from family pressure. This is straight up theft, and his stepson is human filth for taking something that doesn't belong to him and is an heirloom. He stole from a 14-year-old girl. He deserves to suffer the consequences of his actions, especially when OP gave him many chances to give it back. He's not, because he thinks OP will back down. Do this for your daughter, OP. She's already gone through enough. She doesn't need to lose a part of her mom all over again. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. You gave the son every opportunity to return the jewelry. Let the cops sort out the culpability of son and fiancé. And get a safe deposit box. Mom's and the grandparents' attitudes show that this isn't going to be the last thing that goes missing. I'd be considering a safe deposit box and a lawyer. The fact that she wasn't calling him to return it immediately would be enough in my eyes. Not the a-hole, but be prepared. This may be the hill your marriage dies on. It would be worth it. The next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for agreeing with my partner's decision to make my daughter leave when she's 18? I, 36 female, have a 17-year-old daughter. 3 years ago, my daughter and I moved in with my boyfriend of 9 years. The house is technically in both of our names, but I have not worked for the last 9 years, so he's the reason we still live there. He has not gotten along with my daughter since we moved in, and he at one point earlier on said he was very wary about being married and becoming a stepfather since he is already a father of 3 kids, 2 of whom, 15 female, 13 female, still live in the house. He and my daughter fight a lot, and his 15-year-old in particular takes her dad's side in all their fights. During their latest argument, my boyfriend said he finally has had enough. He called me in and told me that he hates drama. He said that his kids' welfare comes first, so if my daughter's attitude was contributing to their, especially his 15-year-old's apparent unhappiness, something has to give. He said he's always had a no a-holes policy in his business, but that extends to his family. He said when my daughter turns 18, we could give her leeway to find a new place. But ultimately, this is his house, not hers. He said that he's saying right here, right now, that he does not want her in this house after she's an adult. But he said my name is on the house too, so he asked if I agreed or not. I honestly didn't know what else I could say, because it was his house first, and in many ways, it was his house more than it was mine. So, I told my daughter that I'd help her find a job if need be and a place, but I really couldn't do anything about it if my partner had made up his mind. He interjected and said he definitely had, and having an extra adult mouth to feed wasn't cheap. My daughter said I was a sellout, and that then I should get a job to help her with getting an apartment, even though I spent all my time trying to run the house smoothly. Am I the a-hole? It seems sudden, but I think we can reasonably say that it was a long time coming. Now for the top comments. You're the a-hole. You've been with him for 9 years. No ring, and he has clearly said he's wary of giving you one? Yet you choose him, someone who won't commit over your daughter. Your name is on the house, it's legally your home too. You gave no resistance, just went, "That's fine, honey, let's kick my own kid out." His kid's welfare takes priority over your own kid's welfare? Blended families take work, and it doesn't seem like any of you have been to therapy together if the fights are as bad as you're making them out to be. I think their relationship dynamic is really horrible. It seems like she's completely dependent on him and doesn't want to get a job. If he is justified in kicking Opie's daughter out, depends on how she behaved. If she is aggressive or violent or emotionally abusive, he and his kids have a right to feel safe and comfortable in their house. If he is being an a-hole, controlling or overbearing with her, it's his own fault she doesn't like him and fights him about it. They've been together for 9 years. He has known her, the daughter, since she was 8, a child. For her to not like him so much that they're fighting, after she's known him for since she was a little kid, I highly doubt she's the problem. And for it to continue for 3 years since mom moved in with her, it's not her that's the problem. The boyfriend is an adult. Adults should be more emotionally mature than teenagers in general. To not be able to even get along with someone is known since they were very young, and for it to go on for so long, she is very, very unlikely to be the problem. You're the a-hole. This girl is 18, and it is 2021, the worst pandemic we've seen in 100 years, and the tightest margin young adults have ever witnessed in terms of cost of living and wages. You would be setting your daughter up for a very unpleasant life if you ditch her at 18. If she is bringing these or other junk into the house, then I can see it. But in attitude, you two need professional help. Big time. Also notice Opie's age. She was 19 when she had her kid. How old is the boyfriend? He sounds older and like he has control of things. You're the a-hole. I can already see the post, if Reddit is still there. X years ago, my daughter's boyfriend threw me out on the day I turned 18. He died a few weeks/months ago. They weren't married, there was no will, and all his money went to his own children. Now Eggy wants to reconcile. Let it be clear, she never worked. She just sponged off him. But I laughed at her in her face and said, "Too little too late." Would I be the a-hole if I get her served with not only a cease and desist letter, but also actively pursue a restraining order due to her harassing me for money because family stands together/helps each other? Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for being mad at my stepdaughter? I, 39 female, have a stepdaughter, Molly, 16 female, who I'm not close with, and a son, 15 male, and a daughter, 3, with her dad. Molly gets excited and also upset very easily. She's also in drama and takes it very seriously, which is good. Her room is right above her half-sisters. Yesterday, the cast list for her show came out, and she was in her room squealing and stomping and jumping around. She woke up her sister from her nap, and I went up there to inform her. She was defensive, saying, "Well, it's my room, and the cast list just came out. I'm the lead." And I responded with, "Actually, it's your father and I's room, and we'll let you live here. My parents did this with me if I got too rowdy." Skipped to dinner last night and she's talking with her dad. She asked if she could go to school and talk to the director about choreography and help out, and then go to Hobby Lobby and then go to her cousins. Before her dad could say anything, I talked to her about her sister and how she woke her up, and I said that she should watch her tomorrow. Her and her dad both gave me looks, but I'm serious. Her dad said no, Molly can go do those things tomorrow, but I want her to see how much of a chore watching toddlers is, and how she undid an hour of work on my part. Am I the a-hole? Edit. Since this keeps coming up, I've known her since she was 12. My son is mine. I don't know the relationship between my son and my husband since I never see them together, unless they're eating. Since some of you needed it. Now for the top comments. You're the a-hole, and I see clearly why your relationship is not close. Glad her dad overrode your nonsense. You're the a-hole. The normal reaction would be, "Congratulations, well done." But could you come downstairs and tell me quietly, please? Why is the 3-year-old napping? Surely she's too old for naps. Opie doesn't have custody of her 15-year-old. Wonder why? She is under no obligation to watch her half-sister. Opie is trying to control the house. You're the a-hole. We let you live here has a different meaning to a stepchild you aren't close to, and a child you love and are committed to. My parents said it to me is totally besides the point. Were your parents your parents? You didn't take a second to try to build this relationship you say needs work, namely, congratulations. You want her to care about you and your child, but didn't take a second to show you care about her. Also, she's 16, so they let her live there as they are legally required to. Young children are notoriously easy to wake up. Why is her room under anyone's room? You're the a-hole. You're seriously angry at and trying to punish a 16-year-old theater kid for being excited that she accomplished landing the lead? Okay, few things. My parents did the same "we allow you to be here" type crap. It's damaging. It never made me feel like I had security or safety in my home or living situation. Knock it off. Secondly, just ask her to keep it down. Does your son also get punished with toddler care when he's too loud? The last story is titled, "Am I the a-hole for unintentionally hurting my stepmom's feelings?" I have a stepmom, one who is good to me and my dad. I actually like her. She's been my stepmom since I was 10, and now I'm 16. She cares about me more than I care about her, and she sees me as one of her kids. She has a son and a daughter who are close in age to me, but I never saw her as a mom. I am so glad my dad has her and we have a pretty alright relationship. She is pretty respectful of my mom's memory. I know she avoids my room for the most part because that's where most of the photos are, but it's no biggie. So recently, she found out that I have corrected people who assume she's my mom. Because a loudmouth girl I was doing a school project with, via Zoom, decided to blurt it out in front of her. My stepmom's daughter was there, and she lost it. My stepmom sent her to her room after she refused to apologize. The same day, right before bed, my dad and her said they would speak to her daughter and that I hadn't done anything wrong. I asked my stepmom if she was okay. I told her to open up because I could see she was hurting. She admitted it hurt her feelings a little that I correct people who make the assumption, but she also understood. She asked me if she could ask me something. I said sure. She asked me how I felt about her really. She told me there was no pressure or judgment. She just wanted to hear. I asked her if she would be honest if I told her. She assured me she would, and when I told her I liked her, and was so glad my dad had her and that I thought she was a good person. She admitted she was a little sad. Like wasn't love, but she was also really glad I felt that way about her too, because she would hate it if I didn't like her. I told her I was sorry that what I said to others had hurt her feelings, and she told me there was nothing to apologize for. We both appreciated the honesty, and I thought that was the end of it. Except her daughter has been acting like a jerk to me ever since, and keeps saying I hurt her mom's feelings, calling me a witch all the time, and saying she deserves more than I give her because she's been my mom whether I like it or not. She then told me that her mom is better than my dumb, precious mommy could ever be, which she was grounded for saying. But I do feel bad still that my feelings hurt my stepmom, and that what I said to others hurt her. It just always stings when people assume she's my mom. For me, it's like my mom being slowly erased when people started saying someone else is my mom, you know? I need to know. Am I the a-hole, guys? Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. It sounds like the problem lies with your stepsister, not your stepmom. You made it clear that you two spoke about things and came to equality and respectful understanding. I would clear the air with the stepsister and do your best to move on respectfully. But don't compromise on your choice to hold boundaries with regard to where you stand with a relationship with your true mother and your stepmother. Communication is key. Good luck. The stepmom is hurt, but she's not holding that against Opie. She's being understanding, unlike other stepmoms we've seen on this thread. It's the daughter who can't let it go. I hope the daughter comes to understand that people are allowed to have different feelings. Absolutely not the a-hole. You sound like a lovely and caring person with a very good relationship with your stepmother. It's not rude to correct facts. She's not your mother. She's your stepmother. That doesn't mean she's not important to you or that you don't like her. It's just a fact. I'm sorry your stepsister is a big jerk. I hope your dad and stepmom can get her poor behavior under control, but none of this is on you. And that's the end of this video, folks. As always, leave a comment and hit like and subscribe. And if you want more of this content, turn your notification on to get updated on the latest videos. And I'll catch you in the next one. Stay safe.